You're watching BBC2 with an entire evening dedicated to the fantastic universe created by Gene Roddenberry. This is Star Trek Night.
Most illogical.
Star Trek fever can strike almost anywhere and almost anyone, even at the heart of the intellectual establishment. Star Trekkers now reveals some curious celebrity devotees.
In the early 1960s, space travel literally got off the ground. We'd had the first satellites. In 1961, up went Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space. So space travel was coming along. As we know, the first men went to the moon in 1969. And this was also the time when science fiction films took rather a different turn. There were quite a number of them, and I think I felt all those, the best of them all is Star Trek.
Launch shuttlecraft.
When one talks about space warps and time warps and teleportation and thought travel and instantaneous movement, well, as far as we are concerned, it's completely out of the question. We have no idea how it may be done. And Star Trek, I think, uses that very cleverly. They don't try and explain how it's done. It just is done. And therefore, one can really believe it in a way.
Position?
3.7. Sorry.
Make up your mind, please, Mr. Latimer.
So this indicator's gone crazy.
That's to be expected, Mr. Spock. Quasars are extremely disruptive.
The characters in Star Trek are very well drawn, and I think myself that gives a greater impact than the shared technology. They're very different, and they knit together, so it's very, very clever script writing. The captain, the first engineer, and so on. Personally, I think that the cleverest of the lot is Mr. Spock, the Vulcanian with the strange ears, because he could so easily be either repellent or completely impossible. But he's neither of these things. The script is so good, and the appearance is so good, you can always believe in him.
I can't believe you're serious about leaving someone behind. Now, whatever it is out there that we...
It is more rational to sacrifice one life than 6, Doctor.
I'm not talking about rationality.
You might be wise to start.
I like Mr. Spock, definitely, and his logical way of thinking. Well, he is logical, which is fine.
Now, look, we may all die here. At least let us die like men, not machines.
By dealing with first things first, I hope to increase our chances of staying alive. Well, Mr. Scott.
I remember one episode where Mr. Spock is left in charge of a small craft that's been separated from the main ship, and he has his first command entirely on his own with no one to answer to. And he has to make various very difficult decisions. And that, again, could so easily be incredible, but his logical mind works it out. The decisions turn out to be right, even though they appear to be crazy on the face of it. And one can just imagine that's just how Mr. Spock would behave.
I am a logical man, Doctor.
Well, it'll take more than logic to get us out of this.
Perhaps, Doctor, but I know of no better way to begin. I realize that command does have its fascinations, even under circumstances such as these. But I neither enjoy the idea of command, nor am I frightened of it. It simply exists.
Whether there are civilizations like that, well, who knows? I'm sure there are plenty of civilizations spread all through our galaxy and others, and some of them may be very like Mr. Spock, I don't know. It would be an entirely different kind of culture. Nothing we can emulate, and I'm quite sure that we human beings never will emulate that.
10 seconds to atmosphere.
Maybe the last action you'll ever take, Mr. Spock. But it was all you.
Totally illogical.
Looking at Mr. Spock, do we ourselves try and transport ourselves in a logical way? Well, I suppose I try to do so, but I'm quite well aware of the fact that many of the decisions I make are totally illogical, and Mr. Spock would never fall into that trap.
My favorite character from all the Star Trek series is Data, the android, and I myself have written a love letter to Data, asking him to perhaps mate with me so that we could produce some strange new entity.
Request denied.
Love Data. I identify strongly with Data. I see in Data a kind of vision of myself, I think. You know, the intellectual side of me, slightly absurd, the bookworm, the person who is perhaps somewhat socially alienated and has trouble with romantic relationships and so on.
I'm only going to tell you this just once. It never happened.
It's clear that Gene Roddenberry has imagined Data as a version of the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz, because he is someone who simply wants to be human. He's looking for his heart, and he's very lovable. One of my favorite moments in the series is when Data is baffled by something. He just simply turns his head like a Cocker Spaniel. He's a literalist. He understands the dictionary meanings of terms, but he does not understand ambiguity or irony or wordplay. So that when someone speaks, for example, oh, you've let the cat out of the bag, he whirls around looking for the cat, and so on.
I know, it's like looking for a needle in a haystack.
Why should anyone wish to expend his time in such a search?
Correction, Data. I should have said proverbial needle in a haystack.
A human proverb, as in folklore, or an historical allusion.
One of the things that is very interesting about Data is what he shows in terms of the evolution of the image of the robot in popular culture. We go back to the great science fiction classic, Forbidden Planet. You see Robbie the Robot, a somewhat clunky, comical object, and then we move into a period where computers are represented as huge, the size of rooms, rather sinister. We see it in 2001. Where the computer becomes deranged and seems about to exterminate the human race. What Data represents is the 1980s era of the personal computer, of the microchip, where the computer is now user-friendly, is a companion in the home.
They were all sucked out into space.
Correction, sir. That's blown out.
Thank you, Data.
A common mistake, sir.
My very favorite Data episode is it's a moment when the ship is endangered and there is a wave of pseudo-intoxication sweeping over the crew. Tasha Yar makes advances to Data, and we learn that he has been fully equipped for pleasuring, every kind of pleasuring. There's a moment when Tasha Yar pulls him down into a bed, and we see as the door closes this delighted look on Data's face. We learn no more after that.
Data, you are fully functional, aren't you?
Of course, but...
How fully?
In every way, of course. I am programmed in multiple techniques. A broad variety of pleasuring.
Oh, you jewel, that's exactly what I hoped.
In the same episode, poor Data must he's like lurching like a drunken sailor, sits down cross-legged, and has to restore all of the control chips to the computer within seconds before the ship is destroyed. And this is, to me, one of the great moments in all of popular culture, as far as I'm concerned, where you have him working almost like a woodpecker at a sewing machine as he puts all these control chips into these slots. And I didn't identify with this so strongly. I think that that's a kind of paradigm of the way I work. Each of these chips would correspond for me to the little note cards that I have been writing on, the thousands of note cards that I have accumulated for the last 30 years and that are the basis of all of my writing. It's almost like looking into my soul at that very moment. That is intellectual production, it seems to me.
Bridge, engage engines.
The Enterprise gets an assignment from the Federation or Starfleet or, whoever to go find this colony. So they beam down a search party and find that the people are actually still alive and they're incredibly healthy and happy, and they don't want to leave the planet. They refuse to go, and before long, all the people from the search party don't want to leave the planet either.
I was one of the first to find
They've all gotten spored.
spores.
There are certain plants there which emit spores, which it turns out inhabit your body. They make you totally happy and at peace.
Now you belong to all of us. And we to you. There's no need to hide your inner face any longer. We understand.
I love you.
I mean, I interpreted it as drugs, as people getting high, connecting with other people around them, feeling all part of the same family, not having any ambition, but just feeling wonderful about being and loving.
Mr. Sulu understands, don't you, Mr. Sulu?
Yes. I see now. Of course we can't remove the colony. It'd be wrong.
I don't know, it was just something about the time, I think, when I first saw it, and finding paradise, and which I felt like was paradise too, and yet it gets rejected. And I was thinking, but I think this is great. What's wrong? Why don't they like this? You know, it gets you thinking about what is the purpose of humankind and life and accomplishment and being and happiness, all those things.
There's belonging and love.
No wants, no needs. We weren't meant for that, none of us. Man stagnates if he has no ambition, no desire to be more than he is.
We have what we need.
Except a challenge.
Well, you know, I mean, if Kirk had really, you know, come over to the other side, if the spores had continued to affect him, that would have been the end of the series. Maybe what it's saying is that, yeah, we would all be a lot better off if we were all a lot more blissed out and a lot more, felt a lot more interconnection with each other, but that the rulers, the people that really wield the power in our society, in our world, are not susceptible to the nutrition that's offered by things like the pods on this show.
Miss Colomi, you'll have to come back with us to the settlement and prepare to transport up to the ship.
There'll be no evacuation, Jim. But perhaps we should go back and get you straightened out.
Mr. Sulu, Mr. Spock is under arrest and he's in your custody until we get back to the Enterprise.
I mean, it's almost like the childhood that he never had, and experiencing those things for the first time. He's talking about a rainbow.
You know, I can tell you exactly why one appears in the sky. But considering its beauty has always been out of the question.
Not here.
Yeah, that was the most beautiful thing, seeing Spock in love, and it was really cool how whenever they shot the female love object, she was in soft focus. We really got off on that you know, state-of-the-art visual technique.
This made a big impression on us. Plus, you know, Spock getting the girl, not Kirk. I mean, that's such a twist on things. I mean, Kirk is always getting the girl. Spock, he's got no emotions, and to have him open up and flower as, you know, that human part of him is just beautiful.